You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Well, let's try anyway. Welcome to the award-winning Blacklist Exposed podcast. I am Agent Troy Heinrichs.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson, and thank you for joining us as we talk about number 17 on the Blacklist, Sutton Ross, written by John Bokenkamp and John Eisendrath and Lucas Ryder, and directed by Bill Rowe. Show notes and other intel for this episode of the Blacklist Exposed can be found at theblacklistexposed.com. We are live.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Who are you waving to? Your mom or something?
Sure. Me, my mom, Kara Adler, Brittany Trout, Doug Baumgauner, all the people. Wendy Davies is up all the way in the UK, chiming in at like 3 a.m. over there across the puddle. That's amazing.
That's super early. Super early. So we just finished the season finale, and well, I guess you know what? Let's knock out some stuff before we get there. How about that?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Because we wanted to know, bones are they anyway? And I think we finally got an answer. So let's see how many of you were correct.
Okay, 38% say OG Raymond Reddington. Hey, 38% of you nailed it. 37% of you say someone we have never seen. 16% said Katarina. 4% said the real Aaron Peters. You want me dead?
Hey,
God.
This showed up out of nowhere. Okay, I had nothing to do with this. This just happened. So it is what it is. Someone put up there, and I appreciated it. It was awesome. It was funny.
Yeah, I appreciate that everybody put my name in there. All right, 3% said person Katarina took the identity of. 1% said Liz's twin sister. No. 1% said other, which included votes for John Bokenkamp, Mark Pellegrino, Jimmy Hoffa, different pronunciations of Lee's name. That's interesting.
Oodle off in ice.
So, well, all that, 38% of you got it right. So congratulations to 38% of you. The other 62%, wrong. Now, it's time for our next profiling question. Why does Red go to Dom in the end?
That's the big mystery.
That's your big mystery. It's not everybody's big mystery.
But clearly, it seems like Dom has been on it the whole time.
Does it now?
Seems that way.
It seems like he knows the secret.
Sure
Definitely
does.
knows the secret.
Mystery box hidden in his garage. They share buttermilk together. They fix the piano, and now they're having a barbecue in the backyard with bones that will never burn at that temperature.
Thank God somebody said it. I'm watching that going, look, I've had many a fire. I've never seen one in a barrel that was hot enough to burn bone, but what do I know? Maybe old bones are different.
Especially if the OG Raymond Reddington was shot by Liz and burned in the fire, then the bones would have burned then. So why are they going to burn now?
Exactly. By the way, Tori, if you're watching this, I am drinking. So, all right, let's get into this.
All right. Well, it's going to be fun. Keep going in the chat if you're live. If you're listening to this later, then go ahead and just leave some comments at feedback@goldenspiralmedia.com because we are going to have a blast tonight. With that, let's get to this week's case profile.
I don't know about you guys. That's super loud to me. That's like super loud. Well, this episode, real simple. Sutton Ross is the guy that everybody's in the mood to catch. He's faking as an FBI agent, and he arrests Walter Reardon from a robotics company, but he didn't. He's stealing tech, but he's not really stealing. He steals 3 hard drives, I think, containing the Rafferty project. We find out that none of that matters. Ultimately, the goal is he's moved on to his next job because apparently he was hired by Garvey to get the bag to his daughter.
Because for some reason, he was involved in something called Grayscape 17 with China about planes. And Raymond Reddington double-crossed them back in the day. The Chinese came after him. So Garvey needed to, I guess, disappear. And so Garvey helped him disappear 30 years ago. And so that's how it all ties back into Raymond Reddington, or shall we say, the man that looks like Raymond Reddington?
Yeah. I mean, you'd probably say the woman, maybe.
I'm saying that my theory is still in play.
There's a lot of theories still in play. I do want to say I keep seeing people that are like throwing absolutes out there. And the imposter theory covers a wide variety of opportunities, of options. So it's not like now you know that he's not the real Raymond Reddington. Okay, but there's still Katerina, there's uncle, there's some kind of family relative we don't know about yet. There are a lot of different options here. A lot of different options.
Could have even been Raymond Reddington's brother.
That would be an uncle.
Or a twin.
It'd still be an uncle.
Piss you off.
It wouldn't piss me off. The twin thing would piss me off, but it'd still be an uncle.
That's
so
true. That's true.
There you go. There. So that's where we're at with that. Now, for this episode, we're going to do it a little different. Normally, we would go through every minor character detail. We're not going to do that for this episode because really it comes down to the big reveals. So we're just going to take the characters and where we left them off this season, one by one, before we get to the big stuff with Red and Liz. And Tom showed up. I got scared for a minute, but he's really dead still, right?
It's an apparition.
Okay, thank God.
He is kind of heavenly though, to some people.
Oh my God. All right. So Cooper's the first one. He says, Red gives him an ultimatum and he refuses. That's the one thing that happened in this episode I thought was really relevant because we have had concerns throughout the entire season that Cooper kind of went off his mantra a little bit. I mean, he went off his firmly held belief in always doing the right thing. There were several instances where it felt like he was a little carefree with the law. Would you agree? I mean, we've talked about it quite a bit.
Yeah, he was absolutely carefree for a good part of this season. And even in this one, he still sides with Aram when Aram gives out the code. He's like, Aram didn't do anything wrong. It's all on you, sir. Your fault.
Mm-hmm. I liked it. I felt like we got a little bit of Cooper back by the end of the season.
Yeah, he had a little bit more brass tacks, a little more oomph and charisma as he's barking out the orders. And I really wanted to see something more between the two of them, Reddington and Cooper, as this was starting to unravel and reveal, because it's the one thing that's always been in the back of my mind, because we talk about that Cooper obviously knows Raymond, but if you go to the very beginning of the show, as he goes, hey, is it really him? That was his first question we hear Cooper say when he comes on to the scene. And so he was even questioning it at that time. So is this person that he is now sitting across from, has he had a relationship with Cooper also, I guess is the big question that's going through my mind. Is this Sea Duke potentially or somebody else?
Yeah, that's been a big point of contention for me, is that he had to be Raymond Reddington to some degree, or at least be willing. I mean, I've always, go listen to the podcast, I've always said, I think it's the uncle. I didn't think it was really Raymond Reddington, but you have to entertain the other ideas, the other concepts. And I said, it's really hard to get around, I can do brother, because brother, at least most likely are going to have some similar facial structures, and they can do some plastic surgery to make you look like your brother because you already have similar bone structure, similar DNA. So maybe you could fake that with somebody who knows you. The Katerina thing, that would be really extensive work. It's really hard to do. It's hard to explain how he's married to Naomi. There's a lot of different things in play there, but Cooper's always been a major component to that because he did know Red. Now, we don't really know the extent, like how much they actually work face to face, but he did know Red. I mean, and they always seem like they have a very candid relationship, but there is always the possibility that Cooper already knows his secret.
Which is something you've also held to the truth on for a long time, that maybe Cooper was in on it. That was your like master plan theory way back in the day.
Yeah. There's a possibility that Cooper could be in on it, or at the very least, he knows what the secret is. And that's why he's not really been too involved in the who is he, isn't he thing.
Right.
I mean, he's kind of stayed out of that quite a bit.
I mean, a lot of people I see are chatting and on Twitter and after like, oh my gosh, Red Arena lives. I mean, he was gone for 4 years. I mean, that still is something. And the fact that we have the Kate May episode and the Requiem episode, and now we have Dom show up at the very end of this episode, it has to kind of make you think that's probably more 50% plausible now than 0.
Now, let me ask you, because we're live, right?
We are.
How does the group thing work? Can people chat in this, or how does this work? Explain it to me.
Yep. So there's chats down below, or chats on the side, depending on how you're watching it. If you're in the Google Hangouts themselves, or if you're on YouTube Live, if you're on YouTube, then the chats should be on the right-hand side, and it's streaming along pretty quick. Deborah Zimmerman's out there, Lola Kazam is out there, Ignite Payments Elite is out there.
I don't see anybody. It must only be on your end. I don't see it.
Oh, it must be, yeah, because maybe I started it from the Blacklist account itself.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. All right. Well, you bring up anything you want to bring up, because I don't see those. So
sure, no problem.
All right, Wrestler, I will say, okay, this has to be said. I think Wrestler kind of got a disservice this season. I really feel like there was a window of opportunity for him to get a little bit more storyline. I don't think he got that. Would you agree?
Well, it's clear that the whole season was summed up for him by saying the Serbian needs to stay outside. I was like, wow, look at that. Just like stereotyping Wrestler right from the get-go. That's pretty bold.
I mean, I don't understand. I like the character of Wrestler. I just feel like he's more utilitarian right this season than he's ever been. I really don't see him doing a whole lot. I mean, he's window dressing and he's a good actor. And like we saw in Radius, he can go dark pretty quick. I would really like to see more of him explored, more of that character explored, get more to him and Liz or something working together. I realize it didn't kind of feed into each other this particular season, but I would like that.
Well, and sometimes the ensemble cast has that problem because you have such a stretch of people that you have to deal with. And so in this case, with this especially the back half of season 5, you have Liz, who's been in a coma and now is on this mission. So she's kind of on her own. So you can't get the Liz and Wrestler thing to happen, right? You can't get them to pair up. And then you have the whole Samar and Aram storyline that's going on. And so you really can't get Wrestler and Samar to pair up as much as they are normally, which is just good cop, bad cop, partners in crime kind of thing. And there's not much there ever since they did the whole In the Sheets Together thing a few seasons ago. And so really at the end of the day, it's really an interesting dynamic when you think about all of the characters in the show and how you give them enough screen time. I mean, we didn't even think we were going to see Mojan SMR in this episode tonight. And here we ended up getting the big reveal that she did come out of the coma, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that was kind of expected, also kind of unexpected. So I like that. That was nice. That was good. Were you surprised that she came out of that?
I was surprised it was in this episode. I really thought that they were going to, because obviously they didn't know about the renewal because we got the renewal so late in the weekend before the upfronts. That was a nail biter to say the least. But the fact that we didn't know about that, I thought for sure they'd leave her hanging because it gives you the opportunity to say she wakes up in the season premiere, or she ends up dying over the off season, and then we have a whole new storyline for Aram to tackle. So I think there was juicy things you could do as the writers' room if you leave her in the coma. But at the same time, it was really nice to see her come out of it in the season finale because it felt like closure, which is good too.
Yeah, I liked it because whenever you're going into a finale, you chance getting a big cliffhanger. And I know they talk about a huge cliffhanger. I don't know if this was here. It's a tricky episode, but we'll get there in a bit. With Samar, I was actually kind of surprised. I thought since she was still in a coma when we started the episode, I thought maybe there would either be complications or she would still be in it when we ended, or maybe one of those, she opened her eye, like, right when everything came to fit.
Or because I'm the dark one on the podcast, right? I'm the one that was basically going, okay, Aram was meddling, so this is the season finale. Will they actually kill her off? And Aram's meddling is what caused her to die. And then Aram does a whole tailspin thing. I mean, it's another good storyline to maybe explore, but luckily that did not happen. Because that would have been brutal.
That would have been weird. Weird. Not only is it brutal, it's weird. That doesn't belong here. I mean, she was sedated. She was fine.
She was cold, is what she was.
It off. I mean, it was fine. And she said, "Yeah, we're gonna have a Blacklist wedding."
She said yes.
Last Blacklist wedding did not go well.
It did not.
In case you forgot.
True.
No.
True.
Around the season now where he's got Samar back in his arms, and he does still get out there and help them do their job. As far as this particular episode, that's really where his arc went. It was bedside manner, arguing with the doctors, telling them how to do their job, even though he's Wikipediaing it. So maybe you don't know as much as somebody who went to med school for 8 years. And by the end of the episode, he's come full circle. Because he saved his woman last week, and this week she says yes. So everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real crying shame that there wasn't more in this episode for Samar specifically because she was in a coma. At the same time, I love the fact that it just proves the fact that you can work from home. Because if you have a laptop and you have an internet connection, you can do whatever you need to, because Aram's literally working from her bedside so that he can be there for this person he cares about, but at the same time still do his job. So
Right.
kudos to the Blacklist for making work from home happen for all of America.
Lord have mercy. One thing that I thought was kind of funny is while Samar's in her bed and she wakes up and he comes in, she's just as dry as she is every other time. So it's not like, where you been or anything. It's like, hey, Ram, look, yeah, I said yes. I mean, it was just like her delivery for everything else is actually kind of funny.
Well,
I like that.
In that sequence, as he's coming around the corner and she sees him, because she's literally expressionless for a majority of that walk around. Did you think maybe they were going to go the amnesia route for just a slight minute?
Yeah. But they didn't. So, I mean, I feel that way whenever any character in any TV show comes out of a coma. First thing I think is don't do amnesia. Don't pull a 24. I can't do it again. I mean, I did that. I've done that so many times in TV shows. It's just a worn out trope, but they didn't do it. So that's fine.
Sure.
Yeah. Dembe doesn't get much to do, but once again tells Red to spill his secret, which whenever you, I mean, we'll come back to it, but because it's obvious that's really going to threaten Liz, in my opinion, because Dembe has her genuine concern at heart. So while I know some people are running around going, "Oh, he's an evil guy and he's going to kill Liz and everything else," the fact that Dembe and Dom are both supporting him still says to me it's not a dangerous secret. It's a very familiar one in some way, and we'll find out why later. But it's not a threatening secret to Liz. But she doesn't know that because Dembe doesn't tell her. He just needs to catch her in a corner and be like, "Look, here's the deal. Here's what happened." Maybe episode 1 of season 6, they could have that conversation and just take that away,
But at the same time, this has to have some repercussions for Liz, because as soon as this person known as Raymond Reddington comes into her life, all this bad stuff starts happening. So because of that, the secret does impact her life, even though this faux Red says that it doesn't. And because of that, Dembe, for some reason, cares about Liz too. And Dembe is the one that knows the answer to the secret.
Mm-hmm.
So I find it very interesting to see like who really knows the secret and who knows just enough information that they need to know. Because going back and watching things like Naomi Highland's episodes in season 2, those episodes now looking back at it, you clearly go, okay, Naomi was in on it. Whatever this was, she was married to Raymond Reddington, and Raymond Reddington is dead. And the question then becomes, who's the one that killed OG Raymond Reddington? Was it this person? Was it Liz when Liz shot her father? Those are the questions we now have to go back and scrutinize over the summer and over the fall as well, since Blacklist is not coming back until January 2019.
Well, it seems to me that Naomi of who Red was in the present day, it seemed like, because if you go back and watch, there were certain episodes where she almost said something that would give something away and didn't, which is, the Blacklist coda. So to me, that means that she knows exactly what's going on. So she's involved in some way with what happened, or she's very familiar with what happened.
Now, are you at this point excited that it all kind of played out from the beginning? Like, can you go back and literally say from the beginning, imposter theory fit the entire show?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it since I don't remember when. I think, as much as we talk about every theory and try to give credence to everything, and I guess we can go ahead and get into that, right? Because that's where we're at. I mean, Liz and Red, that's where we're at. I think we can safely assume that imposter was there the whole time. We've talked about it 1,000 times, I feel like. So many times it's been alluded to. And then they would paint the picture about, well, it's her dad, but they used 30-year-old DNA. Okay. Now, what I'm really interested in is when Liz originally did the DNA test and threw it away. I still don't get why she did that. But if you go back and do that, I would have liked to have seen what that DNA test said, because a lot of times they can tell if you're related. And I think that would, not a lot of times, they can always tell if you're part of that bloodline. So that would give us some indication as to what the connection is versus imposter. I think imposter's been in play for the longest period of time. I think everybody except Daddy Gators and Lizzington shippers are kind of had the imposter theory in some form. Katerina, imposter theory. Uncle, imposter theory. And some other master criminal, imposter theory. So all those lead back to imposter theory. And so there's no absolutes there. It could be a lot of things.
And I just love that we dissected it a lot in the very opening of the show, that you have rules that are established from the beginning. And we talked about this on the Adrian Shaw finale, which is why it's probably one of the best podcasts downloaded besides the first John Bokenkamp interview, is because we literally did that analysis to say, if you believe that this person never lies to Liz, then criminals are notorious liars is thrown out. And the next phrase, everything about me is a lie, is a truth. And that's literally in the pilot. So from that point forward, if you believe that, then you're on the imposter theory bandwagon from the beginning. Now it just depends on which spur of the imposter theory you want to jump on board with for season 6.
Which spur?
Yeah. Uncle, Katerina.
Oh, I got it. I just like
Duke,
that.
Whoever, right?
Interesting. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Were you, because I'll be perfectly honest, as soon as the whole thing went down in the interrogation room, I knew Liz was complicit. Did you know that, or did you go, oh man, they got me?
No, because they're in the he was handcuffed. So it's like, how did he tip the table?
Thank you.
She's totally in on it from the beginning. One thing I would, if I had to have a nitpick about this episode, one small nitpick, it was a lot of minutes spent on retelling the Liz story from the whole, this is how it actually went down. Sometimes I appreciate that. Sometimes I feel like I just saw 90% of this. Just show me the pieces I missed.
Oh, the recap where she's telling.
Yeah, it was like almost it was like 5 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
That'd be my one nitpick for the finale.
Well, I do like that they almost mockingly threw in that the moment where Sutton Ross is right there and he's got him. He's like, tell me. And Red goes, okay, the truth is and then of course the car breaks in, which is a nod to every other season finale they've had. So I was just like, they did it again. Don't do it to me again. Give me something.
I literally picked up my phone and went, okay, where's Aaron? Because Aaron's texting me right now going, I am so done with this show.
Yep. I had to have something. That was my rule. I'm like, I gotta give me something. Got to give me something concrete. No more ambiguity. And I do. They finally did that. So they did commit to a cause of action. Not that they weren't already committed to it, but they made it public.
Well, let me ask you this question.
And they committed to it.
And I am not opening up this can of worms. So all of you in the chat room and listening to the podcast, do not take this and go start running off with 100 theories that have already been disproven in this episode. But we've always said that we won't believe the answer until Red specifically tells it to Liz.
No, you've always said that. I haven't said that. Okay.
Well, in this case with Liz, do you think that we would believe Liz's response because of this DNA report? It's been, the DNA report has been in someone else's hands for over a year, Showtime. So can you really believe the DNA report? Is it the original DNA report? I think the addition of Tom at the gravesite was really clever and super importantly needed in order to say that, yes, this is a truth, because Tom also knew that answer.
I totally get what you're saying. I do think I had a nitpick. My biggest nitpick would be Red needed to say it out loud. Not for me, but for the audience, because I feel like when he's talking to Dom and when he's burning the bones in the ridiculous manner that he was burning them, because it's not a crematorium, it's a barrel. Okay. It's a barrel. What? I would listen to way too many true crime podcasts. This just would not happen. Regardless, if he would have said, here go here we say goodbye to the bones of Raymond Reddington, or just something to where Red confirmed it, I think that would be great for the audience to a degree. Maybe they can do that in the premiere. I mean, they haven't done that yet. Personally, I think there are some fans that need to hear it out of Red's lips to believe it and move forward. That's just something that I think is important to some fans. And I'm not one of those fans, but I know a lot of fans that feel that way. So to answer your question, it doesn't bother me, but I know a lot of fans that it's going to affect and not take this as truth simply because Red didn't say it.
But see, I think the thing that's beautiful about the show, if you really go back and think about it, everybody has been correct in a way. Because yes, Raymond Reddington is her father, just not the guy we see on the screen the whole time. So the daddy gators are right. Every time he said, yes, Red is her dad. Yes, Red is her dad.
That's true.
That's a true statement. The 30-year-old DNA proved that she is the daughter of Raymond Reddington, who is now dead in a barbecue pit, getting roasted with Dom.
I mean, to be fair, we can be candid about this now, right? We've always thought that because you don't use 30-year-old DNA as your reference point, and then absolutely refuse to have a character say outright, "She's my daughter," or I'm sorry, "I'm her father." I got it. I'm her father. You don't do those two things unless you're trying. And Troy and I have had private conversations about this a lot. You don't do those two things unless you're trying to ensure that you have that window open to say that those Raymond Reddington has been dead the whole time.
Yeah, from day one, right? Everything about me is a lie. And then you just have all of the things that kind of point to his double speak and double talk. You know, your father is dead. You shot your father. All those conversations, the memories of her shooting her father. She says herself at the end of season 2, like, I killed my dad.
Here's the one thing, like this is the one thing when I've had private conversations with people about the show, and I try not to do it on the podcast too much because if you say too concretely how you feel about something and you don't leave it open to other opinions, you're kind of closing yourself off. But in private conversations, I mean, that
felt like a dig to me. I'm just,
I mean, I don't think you're as open as you think you are, but I try to be very open to other ideas. But when people ask me directly, like, "Hey, what's your honest theory?" It's been Uncle for a long time, and it's also gone back to the two questions that he's answered very directly. Were, "Are you my father?" No. "I shot my father." Yes. So those are the two things that he answers very, very directly. And he doesn't answer anything directly. So to me, those should be the two things that you should take as, okay, Reddington confirmed those two facts. We should take those as facts. He is not her father, and she did shoot her father that night and kill him. So those are the two things I think we can take as fact.
So the big question then is the end of season 1.
Question.
Yep, got to get one in. The end of season 1, and we see the burn marks on his back. Is that a MacGuffin? Is that I want to remember the pain and suffering that I went through, so leave me part of my original self in this transformation? Is that I got that in a different thing and it has nothing to do with it at all because it was in Belgrade in 2002 when that happened?
No, I think he was there the night of the fire. We just don't know in what context yet. He's still there in some respect.
Right. So either he's a henchman of Katarina's, like a side partner to be there, or he's got to be Katarina.
No, or he could be an uncle, or he could be a cousin, or he could be somebody of familiar descent.
Yeah, so that would go under the henchman side. It was Katarina, Raymond Reddington, and this person that we now know as Red. Like all three of them were present in the fire.
I don't like henchman because that's implying that it can only be Katarina or some thug, and I don't think that's accurate. I think that's just your personal opinion. Now, I'm not saying it can't be Katarina, because now that you say Raymond Reddington is dead, you confirm that takes away, that opens up the Cooper angle, because really the biggest thorn against Katarina being Red, other than the fact that a lot of fans would really revolt about it, is that Cooper knew Red. Now you confirm that Reddington is dead. That puts the imposter theory in play. That also puts Katarina more in play than I would say it was before.
Oh, and Tori mentioned here, this is actually really good in the chat.
Uncle works much better, makes more sense to me. It's more plausible to me. So yeah.
Because then you have two open thoughts here, right? So Tori Melching said in the chat, she said that maybe that's what C. Thomas Howell's character was for, was to purposely burn him in order to make the transformation appear like he was shot in the fire, ended up laying there, and then obviously you would burn until you actually came to and walked out. So that could have been a potential way that could have happened.
Didn't he be? But he got C. Thomas Howell this season, and they showed his burns in season 1.
Yeah, but C. Thomas Howell was out back in 1990 before he went into prison, because he was talking about, hey, that fire that was, he made that like little comment about, hey, I wasn't responsible for that fire, you know, and then Red told him to kind of shut up at that moment. So it'll be interesting to see if if C. Thomas Howell had anything to do with those burns on his back.
I don't see how you can connect that. I mean, I'm not knocking your theory, Tori. I don't see how you can connect that because Red wasn't really he wasn't in Red's employee. He wasn't an employee of Red at that time. So that wouldn't make any sense to me. And we saw the burns like years ago while he was in jail. So if they didn't have a relationship really before, he's aware of the fire, but he knows, he didn't start it. So he wasn't there. And then he wasn't needed until this year and he was in jail the rest of the time. I don't see how it's plausible.
But that line that he makes, the line that he says, hey, if you're talking about that fire, I might not have been responsible, does now lead you to understand that there might have been another fire that this imposter was in that could have caused those burns.
That's the stretch. I think that's fan brain connecting things that don't connect. I don't see that at all. But I mean, to each their own. I don't see that connection at all.
So speaking of things that don't connect, all of the interviews that people are like, well, John said in the interview that he's the father.
He did not. No, he did not. He said you have to take that for what it is. That's what they said, was that Raymond Reddington is her father. He never said Jane Spader as Raymond Reddington is her father. I mean, I think he probably said Raymond Reddington is her father. That's concluded because it's true. Right? I think that's been proven. So that's not a lie or anything.
Right. And I think the one thing that's interesting is the fact that you have Megan specifically. I thought Megan did a masterful job. I sent Aaron an interview that Megan actually did. I think it was either yesterday or this morning. And the question was, will we find out the bones? Will Liz find out about the bones? And Megan's answer was, the audience will find out. And I'm like, oh, that means Liz isn't going to find out. So you immediately interject your own thought into it. But what she was really doing was hiding the fact that the whole Sutton Ross partnership sequence thing that came up, she couldn't give that away, obviously, because that would tip away the entire last 15 minutes of the show. So kudos to Megan on her dancing in that interview. That was really good.
I really love that twist. I actually like that twist more than the reveal, if that makes any sense.
It sure does, because the reveal is, if you're on that path, it's like it's going to blow up the show. And it's like, not really. If you've been paying attention from the beginning, it's what you expected. Doesn't really blow up the show. Now, granted, we had almost a 50-50 split over Raymond Reddington or somebody else. So there is a good chunk of the fan base that this probably did blow up their world tonight.
Most people that I know did not think that he was the real Raymond Reddington and haven't for a long time. But I'm sure there are people that feel differently about it because of the whole father thing. The DNA test came in through everybody else. So for 2 years now, they've been
end of season 4. So just the season.
Right. They've been firmly believing that this is her father, and they've done everything to lead you to think that, but they haven't confirmed it. They haven't confirmed it with anything modern day. Red's never said it. There's our Red's never said it. The DNA test has never been done with anything that was shown from current DNA. So all of that is they've been playing with fire, but they danced around it. Now, do I think it's necessarily fair? Yeah, I mean there's some tap dancing going where I think, well, I talked about it a couple weeks ago. I think they've danced around a little too much, where they've kind of strung us along on this who was Raymond Reddington thing for a little bit too long. I would like to. We're never gonna. I guess we've said 100 times. I'm just rambling now, but. We've said 100 times, you're not going to get the entire answer until the end, but you can give us more. And I think we're finally getting the more.
Yes, the more that will spark new questions that can tell more interesting stories, especially the final sequence, right? How are Red and Dom connected? How far back do they go? Is it back to Russia? Is it here in the States? Is it an op they did? You can have really cool stories there, which is always great to see Brian Dennehy back on the show. And then you have this whole Liz and her sister, because that is confirmed. They are definitely sisters from the same man. And now you have the team up of those two. That is an interesting storyline to see how that's going to play out and how they work together. Does she become part of the task force and she's kind of an informant in this way and kind of start to unravel some of the things we knew from Naomi's side? Because again, if you go back and watch that, and I loved it. I loved that they went back and showed the old clips of all the kind of clues that were along the way. And we saw the Naomi Highland clip of Raymond Reddington isn't who you think he is, because that was one of my strong points for the mother theory. seeing that clip tonight was just, it just gave me goosebumps. And so that Naomi Highland, go back and watch those 3 episodes at the start of season 2, and you'll see clearly how her dialogue and her passion and her anger and her frustration like tips imposter theory from day 1 of season 2 if you didn't believe it from season 1.
Yeah, I mean, everything has been leading that way. I really do believe that. I think they've tried to take us off the path a couple times, the whole dad thing. But the one thing I didn't understand is like fans would be diehard about Red doesn't lie to Liz. Well, if you're diehard about that, like I said earlier, the 2 main questions that he answered, no, I'm not your dad. Yes, you killed your dad. Those 2 things he answered outright. So if you're of the camp that he never lies to Liz, you have to believe he is not her father. And, you know, even with DNA, he's not her father, and that she killed her actual father. Now, the whys of that's a big question. Who is Red to her? Because he obviously cares about her. He obviously has some kind of tie to her. He's willing to give his life up for her multiple times. He's willing to give up his secret for her safety. So what does that tell you, Troy?
That's
outside. Consider a theory that's not the one that you refuse to back down from.
Well, then I have to go to yours. I have to go to uncle.
You can't see any other option between mother, uncle. It has to be a family tie in your book.
The Alexander Kirk, Adrian Shaw conclusion episode. I mean, this is the man that wants to kill Raymond Reddington so badly.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is every being of his existence to put this man in the ground, and literally centimeters from being able to do that, stops dead in his tracks. Like he saw a ghost. I mean, it has to be that, yes, I agree that you are Masha's something. In that case, Red himself said that, you know, Elizabeth is his daughter. So you got to go, okay, well, then an uncle could have fathered Liz too, I guess. But then you go, well, he's under duress and he's and then if the DNA test from 30 years ago proves that that's not the case, then the only logical solution would be that he's Katerina, unless he's saying that under duress.
The only problem I have with Uncle is because I do think it has to be a familial tie. I've said that many times. I do think that. The only problem I have with Uncle is the Jennifer angle, because he doesn't seem to care much about Jennifer. He respects her and he has an appreciation because obviously cared for Naomi in some way, but doesn't seem to be anywhere near as interested in her as Liz.
Why would he? I mean, Garvey himself. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Thank you. That'd be cool. So if it was Uncle, he would have that relationship with both daughters. You know, it wouldn't be either one, except, well, no, I guess if it's just Katerina's daughter, then he would still have that because it's Katerina's daughter. And if he'd still be Katerina's brother. Okay, never mind. Uncle still works.
Yeah, because Jennifer is the daughter of OG Raymond Reddington.
Yeah, it wouldn't work if he was Raymond's brother, but it works if he's Katerina's brother. So Uncle still plays, Katerina plays to me. In fact, your theory plays more now than it did before to me, honestly. Not that I agree with it, but it plays more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking it's got to be because the Dom sequence at the end of this episode says that this person that we are seeing playing the role of Raymond Reddington
is close to Dom.
Is close to Dom and is most likely a Rostova of some kind.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. So that would probably have to be Katerina or brother or something like that.
No, I want to address something that came up earlier.
I don't know how they would pull that off though, man, because half of the fans would really revolt over that revelation. They really would. I really believe that.
Well, because half the fans aren't looking at the stuff in the show. They're saying, well, it's got to be this, because if it's not this, then you're retconning the entire show. The only thing that's really the glue that holds everything together has been imposter theory. And then if you take into account things like Kate May, things like Requiem, and here's the thing with Jennifer. People were saying Jennifer has no purpose. She serves no purpose in the show. And I like my eyes went in the back of my head, like, you got to be kidding me. Like, she had the most 2 critical pieces of information in her 2 appearances. The first one was the fact that Garvey said that you never needed to hide at
Mhm.
all for this entire time because obviously your dad has been dead the whole time. That's one.
Mhm.
Secondly, the other big thing that happened was when they were sitting down and having tea at the restaurant, when Reddington literally says, because everybody said, well, you can't do Katarina because if it's Katarina or Red Arena or whatever you want to call it, if he's Katarina, then what's the motive? What's the reason? Why would you go and turn yourself into someone that is the most wanted person in the world? And
Mhm.
Raymond Reddington says in that conversation with Jennifer, you literally became an enemy of two countries in that moment. Wouldn't it be easier to be the enemy of one law enforcement agency than wanted by the two most powerful nations on earth? If you go back to Requiem, that is the exact same thing that Katarina says to Kaplan from the phone booth. Like, the KGB is onto me, the CIA is onto me. She is being hunted down by the two most powerful nations on earth. So in that moment, you're just like, wow, that literally ties it together for the Red Arena theory, on top of everything else that's already been proven in the show.
What about Naomi? How do you explain Naomi?
So here's how Naomi works.
Mm.
So Naomi is in on it. Clearly evident if you go back and watch it now with these new imposter theory glasses. When he's sitting there talking to that, this is a woman. So I am a woman. Okay. I'm a woman who is protective of my daughter. I am a woman who feels responsible for what has happened, because I think at the end of the day, Katarina absolutely 100% loved Raymond Reddington as if they were going to be a family. Right? I truly believe that. Then she shows up. Raymond dies. She has to hide the bones because for some reason she doesn't want them to find out that Raymond is dead. And she actually comes and actually helps facilitate getting Naomi into witness protection, because as you look back at that, which one was it? The Warrior Gene episode, Dr. Linus Creel.
Mhm.
When you look back at that conversation, she's like, I did everything you asked of me. Everything. I never even told Jennifer anything. I never told Liz anything. And then they sit down and she's like, and I can't even believe it, like that I was married to, and she stops. Married to the guy sitting across from her, because she would have said I was married to you. She was married to OG Raymond Reddington. And so that's why I think that
you went with an OG, huh? All right.
OG Raymond. And I think that's because Katarina truly helped facilitate there was all this blood, the Christmas story, the car, the gasoline. It's just a story that literally she's had to make up. And maybe she even helped set up so that when Diane Fowler and people like that found what happened, they literally found what would have assumed to have happened. Somebody came looking for Raymond Reddington. Raymond Reddington went off the grid. And then boom, here Raymond Reddington shows up because he's trying to get back at the people that hurt his family. It's an amazing cover-up story. Amazing cover-up story. And who could do that but an international spy?
Interesting. Well, I mean, they would have a lot to explain how they went from that gorgeous redhead to James Spader. But I guess if you got at least 22 episodes, maybe you could do that. We're going to have a lot of plastic surgery episodes next year. If your theory is true, we're going to have a whole bunch of plastic surgery. Because, remember, like, the state-of-the-art plastic surgeons didn't come around. Well, I guess maybe 20 years ago. So, yeah, that's possible. That could work.
Well, if you got all the money in the world in order to make that happen.
Could work. I don't know. I mean, it's not dead. It's the theory is not dead. And it's more in play now to me than ever. Now let's consider some of the other ones. Okay, so we talked about Uncle. We talked about Katarina. What about just what else is there?
Well, I think Seaduke becomes as the next logical conclusion. If Seaduke and Raymond Reddington had this huge thing, and Cooper was specifically involved in that operation, and you have Cooper would be aware of Seaduke, then wouldn't Seaduke be aware of Cooper? And therefore, let's go and hit the one guy that I actually know is connected to this whole thing and get into his back pocket. So, I mean, a lot of people are saying we're not asking the right questions, and maybe Seaduke was a bigger reveal at the end of season 4 than we thought.
Like best friend? Maybe it's best friend. I guess that would be, you could, if that was like his very best friend, I could see having some, family connection to the daughter. Maybe he had a blood oath to protect her. I could see that working.
Yeah, because remember, Raymond Reddington was a target to Katerina Rostova, and Katerina Rostova and Seaduke most likely would have been working together. So that's a good possibility.
I mean, I could see that. There's a couple other options, but it's really near impossible for me as a fan to see any other option but Uncle or Katerina when they're so familiar with Dom. But best friend would work too, because Dom would understand what that person was doing, most likely.
It's true.
Would be sympathetic to it.
Yeah, friend of the family, close friend of the family.
So there are some other options. I'm kind of. I don't buy the theory that it's anyone who's not whoever he is does not mean Liz harm. I can't see any way where that makes sense to me. Not based on his actions, how he's willing to die multiple times to protect her. That wouldn't make any sense for him to want any ill will against her.
He's literally willing to let Sutton Ross drive off with his secret in order to come back and make sure that Liz is okay.
Yep.
That has to be familial. I can never say that word.
That's close enough.
It has to be family related or someone that has really, really, really close, deep ties with the family.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating. So a couple of other things. I want to talk about Liz real quick and her arc over the season. You know, I remember years past where people were like, well, Liz is she's been weak. She's a waffler. She's, you know, my personal opinion, she was too defined by Tom. So they took Tom away. I think she's kicked ass since Tom is gone. So to me, I think this has been both Megan Boone and Liz as a character, their best season so far.
I would agree, hands down. I mean, I reference that track scene all the time. I even gone back and watched it before the show just to get in the mood because I thought that was absolutely fantastic. Watching that guy run along with the truck. And this is the fun part about seeing Tom at the gravesite. It's literally her saying, look, because of your death, look at what I have become. I have become this new person. I have come out of my shell. I was able to orchestrate this all because of the things that you helped me discover about myself. So it really adds credence to their relationship, which none of us really liked. Most of us didn't like, but at the end of the day, they really did have a good working relationship and a good, family relationship together. And it really gives a lot of credence to why Tom would have gone back on Raymond Reddington from the beginning and went with Berlin instead and started up this whole thing in the first place.
I mean, I thought it was a nice. I've never been a Tom fan. I mean, everybody that ever listens to the show knows that. And not because of I have a problem with the character. For newer listeners, it was because I didn't like the relationship with him and Liz. I always felt like it took away from Liz, the character. Never really added to it. For me, always took away. But I did like seeing him as long as he was really dead. I liked seeing him at the very end because I thought it was a nice way to ground the whole season about what this has been about, especially the last, however many episodes since Tom died. Ground that and what her goal has been and just bring that all full circle. So I really thought it was very important to get that moment. I thought it was important for fans. I thought it was important for closure. It was important to get her state of mind. There's just a lot of things where, even though I'm not a fan of that character and that relationship, really loved that moment. I thought it was a really well-constructed moment.
I just want to interject that the West Coast in the States right now just literally threw stuff at their TV because Raymond just said, I am not, and the car crashed through.
Sorry.
Hang on, West Coast. You got 10 minutes to go. You can make it.
Yeah, don't worry. I mean, you got about 45 minutes of chase, and then you got, that 1 minute of reveal. So there you go.
I think we called that too, that we wouldn't get anything until the last 2 minutes of the show.
Well, I knew that. I mean, everybody's like, I got to be sure. I'm like, man, I don't even have to really pay attention for the first half hour because nothing much is going to, not that stuff didn't happen. It was very action heavy, but really everything happened in the last 5 minutes, maybe 10, when you got all that feedback. You could actually start from right now on the West Coast if you haven't caught it yet, and you'll be caught up.
Yeah.
You'll miss some cool bits, but you'll be caught up.
But you'll get the replay of how Liz actually broke out, did the whole thing, and then boom, you'll get the answer, and Bob's your uncle. And
yeah, you get the Ocean's 11 replay. Yep,
totally.
Yeah, here's how we did the heist. Again, here's how I duped Red yet again, because she did do that. This is like just like her death. She duped him big time twice now.
Okay, so go back to then Tanzany Farms. Kaplan digs up the bones and says, "I'm sorry, Katerina."
You're saying, was she actually saying it to Red as opposed to, like, she was talking to Red as opposed to just saying it out loud,
Yeah.
or what are you talking about? Say that again.
So so she goes to the tree. It's got the marker on it. She takes the steps and she's walking away and she kneels down and she says something like, I'm sorry, Katerina. Why is she saying I'm sorry, Katerina, as she digs up the bones? That's one thing the fans have having a lot of questions about.
Was Red there at that time? He was, right?
No, that she's by herself. Right? She's digging up the bones for the very first time.
Oh, well, maybe she's
saying like, Katerina, you pushed me to this, like talking to Katerina as Katerina is Red.
Well, that's what you want to see. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to take that as a grain of salt. It could very well be that it was Katerina's last wish that Raymond Reddington remained, the real Raymond Reddington remained dead, and Liz never knew the truth. It could be her last wish. So that could be what she is apologizing for. And she made her promise to not reveal that secret, and now she was, because she needed to, make sure that Liz knew, hey, he's not really your dad.
Could be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely could be. Nobody's theory is proven. Nobody's, not Katerina, not Uncle, not anything. Nothing. The only thing that's been proven is that this is not Raymond Reddington. He is an imposter of some sort. So that's the only thing that's been proven with 100% certainty. But thank God there was no ambiguity in it. It was proven.
So I'm gonna. I just got this in, right? Text message in from one Mr. John Bokenkamp himself.
Okay.
He's trying to get into the Hangout, so hopefully he'll be able to jump in. But if not, I just want to make sure everybody gets to hear this. So he's been listening to the podcast, the live show for the last 30 minutes.
Okay.
And he's going nuts. Mother theory, uncle theory, robot theory. All I could tell you guys is that this is a killer podcast. You and your listeners are so deep into the show, it scares me. We have the best fans in TV, and I mean that. Since I'm locked out, I just want to say thanks. Thank you for the insightful conversation. Thanks for keeping us honest as writers. And thank you for diving so deep into these episodes. Aaron, there is a mental institution named for you somewhere out there. Sure, Tom is staying there and will welcome you with open arms.
Yeah.
See you guys in season 6.
Don't worry, I'm still crying that I don't have a hospital.
Oh, and he closed it up with yours truly, C. Duke.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, hopefully you can get in. I mean, it can be a technical challenge, so I get it. Yes. Hey, before we do anything, John Waters. We got to mention John Waters.
We absolutely need to mention John Waters.
I love the fact that is one that I got as soon as he landed, and so many people were like, "Who's this guy? Who's he talking to?" Because I'm a movie buff, so I'm like giddy. Eee! And if you know John Waters, you could maybe, based on some of Troy's theories, understand why he's so enamored with him. But he's a legend in cult film and cult cinema. He's just a director. Pink Flamingos. He's done a ton of stuff, and he's a very eccentric talent, a very eccentric artist, very nice guy from all accounts I've heard. So it was really cool to see him there and see him bouncing off Jane Spader. I thought that was a lot of fun, actually.
I mean, it was a treat. And I think the best part about it was we all are like, oh my gosh, it's actually John Waters playing John Waters, right?
Yeah.
And so then he comes over, he's like, I know you. You're like, what is it? Paddington? Yeah. And he's like, oh, Raymond Reddington, that's it.
That was pretty cool.
Like everybody knows Waters, but Reddington's still a mystery until this evening. And now he's not.
That was a fun cameo because I had seen, I think I saw a still of that, which really kind of bummed me out. I really try to avoid all media. I don't watch previews. I don't look at the Entertainment Weekly exclusive first look pictures. I don't look at those. I really try to avoid all of that. I don't read, even though everybody tags us on all the interviews and stuff, I try not to read John's interviews before the episode because I'm a big spoiler guy. I don't want to be spoiled. I want to enjoy the ride. And then I'll read all that stuff afterward. Because that would have been a really cool shocker.
Right.
Literally the only thing that I think this spoiled for me. So I think the internet's getting better. But I will tell you, if I was on the West Coast, I would never, ever have Entertainment Weekly on my Facebook wall because half of their freaking their bylines are basically telling you exactly, or headlines are telling you exactly who dies or what happens or what the reveals are. I mean, I love Entertainment Weekly, been a fan for years, but y'all need to stop spoiling stuff. Stop it.
Yeah. Just because you can post your interview 1 minute after the show airs, there's still the entire West Coast going on. That's why we at least did this while they're watching the show, because then they won't be spoiled. And then when the show's over, they can go ahead and watch this and catch up.
I just like how you made all that about us. That's cool. That's cool.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because we respect the fans.
That's Troy, bringing it all back to Troy. There you go.
Well, since we had John chime in here, should we talk about these awesome shirts we're wearing?
Oh, hey. So you can't. This is from Anthony Pepe. How you doing? Special effects extraordinaire.
Makeup department. Yeah, awesome job.
Yes. Here we go. See, you can see. He sent some of these. I think he has these made up, right?
Yeah, he makes them up for the department, for the makeup department team.
Yeah. There you go. Very, very cool. This has everybody on it except Tom, rightfully so. So they have wrestler and just everybody on here. And in the back, I can't really turn around and show you, but there are. Well, maybe I can. This is live, but I don't know if you can see it. Can you see? Look, there you go.
Season 5 with all the blacklister names on it.
Every blacklister by their number and stuff is on the back. It's very cool, and thank you so much. Really, that was very unnecessary but awesome. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. It was great to meet Anthony Pepe when we were out there for the 100th episode in person too.
Great guy. Yeah, great guy. Got a beautiful kid. He got a picture of his son wearing a fedora. That is maybe one of the cutest things I've seen this year. So,
absolutely is.
Yeah.
Woo.
Need to teach that kid how to say "I'm your mom." just see what. I don't know why. I just think it'd be fun.
His first words are "Red Arena."
Oh. You feel better now that you answer to that?
Do I feel better? What?
Do you feel better that you might be a little bit closer to that being possible?
I feel 100% better that I wasn't like in a corner crying, and that I definitely didn't have to wear a dress this evening because I had the dress ready to go just in case.
Because we had that bet that if it was 100% proven that Katarina was in the bag, you have to wear a dress, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So many people would probably be offended, and I wouldn't care. I'd say, you said you'd do it, wear the dress.
Oh my gosh.
And then if it was 100% proven that it was Katarina and that Red is Katarina, I was going to have to wear a dress, and I would wear it like I meant it.
So you guys can all say thank you to John Bokenkamp in the writer's room for not letting either of those happen, because those would probably be haunting you as you went to bed tonight if you had to see either of those happen.
I got nice legs, man. I think it really would have been fine. Yeah.
Just keep them under the table. That would be helpful.
I just plop them up. It's video. I could actually plop it up on the desk. Wow. So the season is over. I mean, I don't see John yet, so I don't know if he'll be able to make it in or not. But what did you think overall? Is there anything more about this reveal that you want to talk about before we close up shop on the season, I guess?
No, I mean, I feel for the Daddy Gators. I mean, I do. I mean, this is pretty much definitive at this point that imposter theory is the track they're going on. And we got all new questions to answer for season 6, which is exactly what we wanted. We wanted to find out, what is the answer so we can have more great stories coming out of the show. And we got that for 22 in a row, which I think is going to be fantastic. And if you do the math, this is Troy, planning out the season again ahead of time. But if you do the math, if they come back right away the first week of January and they end the week right before Memorial Day, I think they're going to have to do a 2-hour premiere and a 2-hour finale to get the 22 in.
Yeah, that's what 24 always did. Well, I had 24 episodes. Never mind. I think you're definitely going to have a 2-hour premiere, but I don't know about the finale. The finale can go either way. They could make it work.
And they could stretch it too. They could go one week after Memorial Day. Doesn't mean they have to finish with the regular TV season itself.
How do you like that? I mean, now that it's officially renewed and really late, by the way, but it's consecutive. It's 22 episodes in a row. I don't think we're going to get any break whatsoever.
0.
Do you prefer that method to we got a break, we're back for 2 weeks, we got a break, we're back for a month, we're back, we're breaking, we're back? Which do you prefer?
No, I absolutely 100% prefer the 24 model. I thought 24, when they did that initially, I'm like, this is the greatest thing. You can have a fall show that's 13 episodes. That's a brand new show. You don't have to give it a full 22 order pickup. because they usually only grab 9 to 13 in the first run. You could give it a try and see how it goes in the fall, because that's when people are expecting new shows to come out. And then you go back to your staples in January and run them straight through without interruption. Man, you would get so many people coming back to broadcast television if you did it that way.
You think?
I think.
mean, they've been doing that for a while. 24 did it, Lost did it, Your Beloved Lost did it. So a lot of shows have done that and to great success. I mean, 24, when they started doing that, it made the show so much easier to watch as a fan on a regular basis, because I used to have a hard time keeping up with it, because it was the same schedule. It was like 2 weeks for the first couple of seasons, and then season 4 they started doing that
Post NFC
succession.
Championship thing. Yeah.
Oh man, it was great. Loved it. So I'm looking forward to this, because I like the fact that the storyline can build up. There can be a lot more anticipation. There can be a lot more intensity, because they can do it more serialized, I think, to a degree.
Absolutely.
When they know that it's going to ebb and flow that way. So I think that'll actually be a good thing for the show.
I think it will too. I think it'll especially be on Friday night, which is typically the quote unquote death slot.
I mean, people keep saying that, but you know what? Hawaii Five-0, Blue Bloods, MacGyver,
even Blind Spot for some degree.
I don't know about Blind. I don't follow Blind Spot, but I know those three CBS shows. They do really well on Friday, and your audience will follow you if you make good content, and I think the audience is going to follow them to Friday.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, 8 months is too long. I can tell you this much: I'd rather be off for 8 months. I mean, we do this podcast for HBO's Westworld.
Yeah,
Westworld was off for what, 19 months total?
It was it was like
16 months.
16 months, yeah.
And everybody came back. So yeah, 8 months is nothing. 16 months or even a year and a half with Game of Thrones. 8 months is totally fine.
It's a new norm. I mean, TV's changing. I mean, the fact that the times of those times are changing. I think you're going to see this a lot more as we go on, that shows adapt this kind of model, unless they're a very procedural based show.
Right. And if you look at things like Walking Dead or Game of Thrones or Westworld or Big Little Lies, etc., the reason why they're so successful is because they just do it, 8 in a row, 10 in a row. And it's all there spoon fed to you, so that if you want to wait 10 weeks, you can, and then just binge all 10 Netflix style, and you're not that far behind, which is really great. This case, you're going to have to keep up because it'll still, the big question I have is,
you have so many big questions. There's like 100 big questions you have.
This one's a big one because there are people that I think maybe
this one's big. The other ones, they were just little big.
There's a group that probably missed. I know there's a group that definitely missed like the first half of season 5 because they weren't sure if they were coming back after the whole reveal at the end of season 4, and then everybody was talking about how fun it was and how light it was and how you should come back.
That was great. That was great.
Yeah. But then you have the in-season stacking, right, where you only get the last 5 episodes on NBC.com because they don't have the Hulu arrangement because of the exclusive Netflix deal. And so the question is, will Netflix release season 5 at the normal August-September time slot, or is Netflix going to hold it until December, right before the January premiere?
I gotcha. Well, that's a good question. I bet you they release it like they normally do. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't release it the same.
Yeah, I would hope they would do the September release. It gives people a lot of time to watch the episodes, do a little rewatch, get prepped for a 22 episode run, because you got to be armed with your knowledge now that you have an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Go back, see what actually fits, what actually plays, and see what new questions you have coming into the new season.
I mean, I like when it goes on Netflix because you can do a rewatch pretty quick, pretty easy. So I'm hoping it hits Netflix at least a couple months before. So then people that didn't, maybe they drifted away, or the constant breaks. I felt like there were more breaks this year than normal.
Well, the Olympics didn't help either.
No, it didn't. So maybe there's some people that drifted away, but I think it'll be fine. I think whatever happens, it'll be fine. I'm looking forward to the 22 in a row. Anything more on the Secret or your cat Red Arena or Red Uncle or Neighbor, really passionate neighbor that is so attached to Dom?
A lot of ways.
Really passionate neighbor that's taken on the mantle.
Oh my gosh, no.
Like he lived next door, saw the house was burning, broke in there. And her dying words, Katerina's like, "Hey, pretend to be this master criminal and save my daughter." And he's like, "You got it." And that's why. Bam. Wouldn't that be a fun twist?
Sure would. Do you want to take maybe 15 minutes of questions from the fans?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead?
Okay,
You
why don't
you
you-
got them. I can't see them.
Well, why don't you go over to the Facebook group and pull a few out of there? I will go ahead and see if the chat has. So if you have a question in the live chat, go ahead and drop them in there, and we'll be back right after this.
Could live your life without limits, where every desire you ever imagined could be fulfilled. Experience Westworld, a show where every human's dark side will be revealed. After watching each episode, listen to Beyond Westworld, a podcast featuring humans and hosts from around the park, diving deep into HBO's illustrative narrative. Every hero has a code, and so do you. Download your itinerary and the show at beyondwestworldpodcast.com or your podcast app of choice.
Hi, it's Megan Boone, and you're listening to Blacklist Exposed on Golden Spiral Media.
All right, special agent intel. I'll go with the first one here. How long do you think, Aaron, has Dom known about this imposter situation?
Since the beginning. I mean, really, right? Since the beginning. That's what I would argue. I don't see any. Yeah, I would think Dom would have to be involved shortly after it happened because I think Dom knows that he wasn't the real Raymond Reddington to begin with. So yeah, or he or she wasn't the real Raymond Reddington to begin. I want to be fair. Sorry, I was just reading John's email. I just read the whole thing. That was funny. Okay.
What about? Let me see.
Oh, hey, we got one from Tori Melchin. She wants to clarify. I know you're live, but I have to clarify because Dum Troy said it wrong. I did not mean that C. Thomas Howell gave Red his burns on purpose. More like he may have accidentally given them to him in a different fire. That makes a little bit more sense. I still don't think it's necessarily plausible, but it's better than what Troy said.
Agree.
Continue. You find something. Go. Go.
So what is James Spader's character going to be? Since he's not Raymond Reddington, we just call him Red from now on. That
Hank.
guy,
Hank. I call him Hank. How about that? That's a good.
Hank.
It's actually kind of a good question though, because we know he's not. She is not Red. So do we call him something different? Like as fans, I don't know. I mean, it's adapted to the mantra. So.
Yep. And joining us now also is Mr. Rory. Rory was obviously filling in while Aaron was actually out at South by Southwest, if you remember, did a few episodes for us. So wanted to invite Rory in to say hi to everybody so you get a face to the name.
Hey, Rory.
How's it going?
Good. How's it going?
Going well.
And Rory's actually been helping us on the Twitter front too this season. So thanks so much to Rory for helping us out there because, man, we've been super, super busy, especially with Westworld going and all that other stuff.
Good. I heard you're going camping this weekend.
Backpacking. Yeah, I'm getting ready to go backpacking. And in fact, in about 4 hours, 5 hours at this point.
Try not to come back on crutches this time.
Ah!
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I did that when I got back from vacation that time. So it's not. I got hurt when I returned home. I was fine on the actual vacation. So I need help.
So wait, you go camping, you don't get hurt. You get hurt coming back.
Yep, I got back and I was really tired and I decided I'll go jogging and then I fell. True story.
All right, so what's your question, Rory?
I got the nice. I want to show Aaron my nice pink microphone cover.
That's very attractive. Yeah, that's in the spirit of the episode.
So I mean, there's so many questions. I'm glad they finally answered the bones.
Yeah. It's about time, John. If you're still listening, my God.
I mean, but my. So we got the answers to the bones.
Okay. What's your question?
Right. So we actually know it now. But like you said, how long did Dom know about it? And at the same time, how long did Mr. Kaplan know about it to go along with it when ultimately her truth was to protect Liz?
Personal opinion is the whole time. I think Dom and Kaplan both had to have known the whole time. Troy, what do you think?
Yeah, that's the one thing that's I'm still scratching my head about is the whole when Sam comes in and says, "Hey, you want to talk to this person? It's Raymond Reddington," and she's like, "I don't want to talk to that man." And then they have the conversation. Is it revealed and we just don't see it because it's off screen and happens after they meet face to face? Where is that's the one thing that's still in the back of my mind that I go, I can't put that together because I remember specifically that we have her rushing out to go to America because the American had taken her. She does say that she was having an affair with Raymond. So we do know that Kaplan knows Raymond's name.
Mm-hmm.
So and because she wasn't involved in anything at the house. So I have to assume that she still assumes that Raymond Reddington is the man that basically stole Masha at that time. So why she would continue to work for him has to be because he literally spilled the secrets. And if he spilled the secrets, then it goes back to Mato, where Mato, she specifically said, when you put that baby in my arms, and I'm like, boom, another one, put it on the board. Red Arena.
Right, because it makes no sense because as we've said before, she said
what?
But she was never a cleaner before.
Mm-hmm.
She cleaned for Katarina. That was her first cleaning job.
Right.
So why would she go into the employment of Red Reddington without knowing who he is? Like basically giving her when she swore she would protect her with her life.
That's a good question, and I think it's worth pointing out when they showed the flashbacks. The only time you see Kaplan with Red, he's shadowed.
Right.
So
because they didn't have a younger Spader.
Well, you think that's the easy answer, but it also could simply be because we would notice discrepancies between the characters because obviously it's not the same character. So now we know that, I think, to some degree. Or maybe I'm wrong, but that's possible.
Okay, so you mentioned the cleaner, Rory. I have to say, do we give a shout out to the twins? Because
yeah, we don't see them, but apparently they're still there.
So you remember it was the twins that worked for the police station, right?
Right. I missed that.
That was a really cool shout out, alive and kicking.
Yeah, I mean they got a shout out in the episode.
Cool. All right.
Cool. Very cool. By the way, I love when Troy talks because I've got Megan Boone's poster behind me just looking at me, and it's Megan Swoon.
I love when Megan Boone is badass. I'm sorry. I just do.
This whole season, man, she's been awesome. Kick ass. Just awesome.
Yeah.
See if we got another one in here.
When Megan's...
Okay. Troy, what do you got?
Freeze all motor.
It's the wool cap that does it for her. That's her fedora.
Gotcha. That's her fedora.
But yeah, I love the podcast. I appreciate all the hard work that goes into.
And we appreciate you helping us out, man. Definitely.
So, yeah, anything you guys need. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
thanks for coming by.
All right, Catherine. I can't even pronounce it. Kalana? I think that's right. Back in Requiem, Katarina told Kaplan not to love Liz. When Kaplan faked Liz's death, that went against that order. Red and Katarina are the same person.
Say that again.
She says, back in Requiem, Katarina told Kaplan not to love Liz. When Kaplan faked Liz's death, that went against that order directly.
Oh, gotcha. Yep. Makes sense. Yeah. Hey, there's a lot of evidence toward Red Arena right now. I mean, it's making me even go, man, maybe Troy's not as crazy as he's still crazy. He's got his own hospital, but maybe he's not as crazy as I thought he was.
So then there's the big question that from the beginning of
how many big questions can you have?
This one is
potentially it's a big question.
100%. Right.
Get them all out there. Somebody give them.
Last time you're gonna hear him till January.
Oh.
Why was Dom's reaction so visceral when he first sees him in that episode after Kate May?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably because it's been a long time, and also she's alive. Because I think that was brought up. Masha's alive, so you know.
Well, the first time she's like, I lost my daughter and my granddaughter because of you.
Mm-hmm. Which plays to Red Arena or plays to Uncle. Basically, I'm saying whoever Red is, that's his kid in some way. To me. And I think that kind of frustration can only come from a parent.
And it also depends on how you take. I know everybody keeps quoting Daniel Cerrone, right? He was the writer of that Adrian Shaw finale, and he had a lot of tweets out there that said, "This is right, and this is right."
Yep.
So I have to see how that plays out. Getting on the Facebook group.
Can't get in there, so we're gonna have to wing that. Sorry.
No
Sorry, buddy.
worries. I could probably pull it up on this side.
I don't really see any. Oh, question. I don't think anything says that. This is from Linda Hood Chaney. I don't think anything says that Liz is definitely the DNA daughter of the dead Red. Season 1 early episode, there were comments on Liz's dad working with Raymond. Red, our imposter is her dad, who wasn't Red. There was a DNA test done from his old clothes that confirmed that she is definitely his daughter. So I would say that is confirmed, Linda.
I agree.
Yeah.
Actually, Becca Neff in the Facebook group said that this was an awesome episode reveal. Well, I think a good majority of the people actually saw the reveal coming. They did it in such a clever way that I have confidence the writers can do even more for season 6. # Red versus Liz. Put that on the poster. Boom.
There's another question. Linda had a follow-up. I didn't see it. P.S. Where's the Dembe frustration with Red going to go? That's a good question.
Well, that is a really good actual storyline that you can pick on, is the relationship between Dembe and Red now that this is out there. And where does Dembe's allegiances lie? Because you saw what happened to Kaplan. Is he still going to be loyal to Red, or is Liz going to spoil to Dembe that she knows to maybe help her in some regard?
I could see that, but I don't know. I mean, they already played that card with Dembe once. Can you do it again? I could see him becoming more frustrated with Red's lack of restraint with murder. I could see that, definitely.
Right.
But I don't know if he's gonna. You know what? If there's one character that he could turn to, it would be Liz. And he was obviously upset that Red killed that innocent man. So yeah, there's potential, definitely.
So there are people out there that are totally disappointed, though. Sharon Crady said, disappointed that they went the imposter route. This means season 6 will be the last season. Season 6 will be about Liz trying to destroy Reddington. Then what's left? And that's a really interesting question, because if you think about, if she's at this point like, I want to figure out who this man is and do everything I can to put him in the ground, which is kind of what that one painting symbolized, that you could have this epic battle, and then the reveal at the end of season 6 could be, don't kill me, I'm your mother. And it would still and it would work.
That would be awesome, actually. That would be awesome. I mean, as much as I haven't given much credence to that theory, I've always thought it was a fun one. So the fact that there's an opportunity there and it could work, I'm telling you, now that you're taking Cooper out of play, that really opens it up for me quite a bit. I just don't know how logistically you can make that work, because that's a whole lot of science fiction involved to make this work.
Is.
Not that James Spader isn't a lovely looking man, but he doesn't look like that. Because she was attractive. Now, Megan Boone, those cheekbones, man.
Yeah, wherever. I don't have one of Lotte Verbeek, unfortunately.
That's all right. She's in my mind. I got it.
So I think that'll do it for this season of the Blacklist Exposed. I'm glad we got to do this live. This was fun.
How do you feel about 8 months off?
I actually love it. It's called vacation. To be quite honest, I know the writers' rooms and the crew and cast probably don't get all that time off, because they still got to film the entire season. It's still end by May, so I'm sure they'll be back at it right away after Memorial Day and shooting again in July. So, but at least for us, we get a little bit of a breather, which is good. We can go back, do some rewatches. Really, maybe we can start working on that Blacklist Exposed book we were talking about.
Hey, did we talk about that?
Yeah, back in season 2. Like, wouldn't it be cool if we did one of those book things after all our podcast theories? Yeah.
Sure. Why not? Let's write a book. Let's write a book. Troy and his dumb theories. Let's do that. That's the title. Working title.
We could outline it for G. Walter Bush, and he could write it for us, because he's the writer. We're not the writers. We're just the
I'm
theory
a
guys.
writer. I'm a writer. I got a lot of work to my name, sir. I'm a writer. So don't you take away from me. I can write. I think that's going to do it, though, right? We can wrap this live event up. I do want to say, John, and for anybody from the cast or crew are listening, great season. I loved season 5. It had its ups and downs, but I really loved the season. I thought overall this was a great season, and especially the way that I personally think Megan Boone has kind of reinvented Liz for a whole generation of fans, or a big portion of fans who have been frustrated with that character. I think she's done a great job of reinventing the character for the season, and where she goes from here. I can't wait, man. I'm actually more excited about Liz right now than I am Red. And I don't know if that's ever happened in Blacklist. I've always been a fan, but now I'm more excited for her arc.
Yeah, because even at the end of season 2, when she shoots Tom Connolly, you're like, oh, how's Red going to save her? It's always, how's Red going to?
Yep.
Now
I love this development. And it's not just this development. It's how she's played it, how she went. Seriously, man, she did a stellar job this season. Seriously, stellar.
Yeah, we should probably say also thanks to Sony Pictures Television for being there and supporting us with the podcast. Having us come out for the 100th episode was a big highlight for us this year.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you.
Also, big thanks to Dave Porter, who we did interview at the start of the season for his album. So you can actually get Dave Porter's music available in iTunes and in Amazon. We have the links on the Dave Porter interview. Just go look for that one at the start of season 5. Also, Amir for coming on this season. And of course, John Bokenkamp giving us the whole 2017 reveal from Luke Ryder's desk. So thanks to Luke Ryder as well for sending that in.
And thanks for hiding everything when we were there, because you thought we were going to rat you out or something.
Well, that's right. We went to the writer's room right before we won the awesome award.
And they had the board completely emptied.
Completely wiped out.
Because we're going to leak it or something. I hate spoilers. I'm not going to leak anything. And thanks, Pepe. Thank you.
And unless, of course, that it's Red Arena, in which case we spoiled it back in season 2.
You got lucky. I mean, you got lucky. I knew it the whole time. No, you didn't. There's so many other options it could be. You got lucky. Your guess was the best guess, if that comes to be true, which I still don't think it will. But hey, you got a chance now.
50%.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I think for me personally, it comes down to, I think it's mom or uncle.
Mom or uncle.
Or both. Munkle. Hashtag Munkle. Turn that worldwide.
Oh my gosh.
Get the focus away from Lethal Weapons craziness. Munkle. Sorry. All right, I think we can end this up, right? We can wrap it up.
So let's conclude this season. Make sure to follow us on Twitter as we do some rewatches. You never know who might stop by for some post-season conversations. So follow us on Twitter at The Blacklist GSM. The show's hashtag is hashtag The Blacklist. And don't forget to follow the Tumblr, the Instagram, join the Facebook group. As we get news, we'll obviously put it out there for all of you. And thanks so much for listening to The Blacklist Exposed this season.
You can also subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts or podcast player of choice, or you can listen from the website. Very important, subscribe, because we're going to be gone for a long time. So when we come back, we might have interviews throughout. You don't know. They've come up. We've had John on several times, so maybe he'll come on either soon or before the season starts. So you definitely want to be subscribed so you don't miss that. And we have an app, but I think it's going away. So
yes, June 1st, I believe, is the termination date of the app. So if you are an app listener, hit me up, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, or I could give you some podcast app choices for Android and iOS if you don't want to use Apple Podcasts. Otherwise, Spotify is an option now. So you can listen to the show on Spotify and then toggle over and listen to the great music from the Blacklist itself.
There you go. A twofer. So listen, everybody. And do we have a profiling question?
Yeah, we had why did Red go to Dom? What's the connection?
Why did Red go to Dom? What's the connection?
What's the connection there? Ponder that one over the summer and the next 8 months. And we'll be back, I guess, in January, unless we hear from you sooner.
Well, I mean, they're not bringing the show back any sooner, but we might have interviews. You never know. So like I said, subscribe. Thanks everybody for staying with us this entire season. It's been a gas, and we've had a wonderful year. And I want to say one more time, thank you to Sony and those guys, because the 100th episode was just insane. So thank you so much for that opportunity.
Super fun time. All right. Troy Heinrichs here.
Aaron Peterson here.
and we'll see you soon.
All right.
Ciao.
Bye.
Until next time, I'm Agent Troy Heinrichs. That's at Troy Heinrichs on Twitter. And if you want to learn more about me, just visit, about.me/Troy Heinrichs.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. You can hear me talking about movies and TV on the Hollywood Outsider podcast, as well as Remake This Movie Right. We are available at thehollywoodoutsider.com or on Twitter at 5popcorn. Be sure to subscribe, download the app, submit your feedback, but most importantly, keep yourself off of
The Blacklist.
The Blacklist Exposed is a Golden Spiral Media production. Find more of our great podcasts at goldenspiralmedia.com/podcasts.
See you in 2019. Peace out.
Bye. Bye-bye. Hi, Mom.